Hi everyone, good afternoon. I hope you can hear us well. We're going to start with the training. You have seen this training before. It's for the product leads, product assistants, and product procedure managers from the Pro Office. Should have added that in the subtitle. Next, please. We're going to go through the updated process of the risk management plan publication, and I'm going to go quickly through the background slides because you've seen them before. I'm just going to focus only on what's changed. At any moment, raise your hand if you want to ask a question, a clarification question, and then at the end we can go through some of your experience, or if you have any occurrences that you want to raise, or something that a situation that you have encountered that you want clarification on. So we're publishing the risk management plan. We have in the legislation the obligation to publish the summaries. EMA Management Board decided to go with the full RMPs. Next slide, please. We are following other examples, but I think we're also leading the way a little bit here. Next, please. Okay, you have seen that we have published during the COVID the risk management plan. They were received well, and that's what triggered our management board deciding to go beyond. Next, please. Okay, we've then extended to other type of products, and you know very well since October we're publishing all RMPs for all products. Next, please. Okay, so to recognize an RMP document, you should see all the modules and all the parts. So there are 6 parts plus annexes, and the difference between the full RMP and the summary RMP, because you might still see on our website summary RMPs, or the companies might be confused, is that the summary of the RMP is only the part 6, the one that you see here last from page 160, whereas the full RMP includes all the modules of the RMP. And we're currently publishing the body, which is the table of contents you see here, plus annexes 4 and 6. Next slide. And annex 4 is the list, the follow-up forms for ADRs. And the annex 6 is the details of additional risk minimization activities. Both of them can be empty if the product doesn't have any of the materials. Next, please. And we, as you see, we have published since last year, October, all RMPs after the approval, after the opinion. And we have published also the RMPs submitted via the 1B variations. And the process for that was to check right at the initial submission. Next, please. Okay, so since October, I have checked 140 RMPs. Actually, we've done a few this week as well. For 47, we had to contact the MAHs. At the beginning, in November, in December publications, there were most instances. Then they got much better, and now we're at 5 or 6 per month contacting out of the 25, 26 that we check every month. We have had only 3 instances with personal data from the patients. 2 were low risk, and that was the age. And 1 was most likely considered low risk because it was disclosed the country of the patient. And then we, in collaboration with the Access Documents colleagues, we have updated the guidance, and we sent the request yesterday to the web team to publish the update. It's the same link we had before, but we will circulate it one ready as well. So we have aligned the guidance for the RMP reduction with the PSUR guidance and other type of documents. So sometimes we would, for the interest of the understanding the data that in the RMP, we would consider, for example, the age as low risk, especially if the patient comes from a big group and it cannot be cross-linked for re-identification. Most common personal data that we have encountered was the author name in the metadata of the PDF. So when somebody edits a Word document, the name of the author, which is the name of the user, is added automatically. And then if you use the convert to PDF, sometimes this is saved. So we have updated the guidance as well to make it clear that they should use the sanitize tool, sanitize document tool from the reduction tool, and that will eliminate all the metadata. Most instances of why we had to contact the MHs were because they submitted the wrong document, because they included all the annexes, not just 4 and 6, because they sometimes had this confidentiality statement in the first pages or as footer or header labels, and we have also updated the guidance to be more clear on that one. A few instances of over-redacting the CCI, especially on the exposure data, post-marketing exposure data. Again, we have updated the guidance to make it more clear there. And also for the type of document, the naming of the document and the types of annexes, we've also included a new section in the guidance on procedural aspects. So it should be much clearer now for the companies what they have to submit and not just rely on that one single sentence in the outcome document. One RMP was never published. Remember, we kept saying last time we don't have to chase the MHs. So we asked for an update and they never submitted it. So therefore we haven't published. And there was one instance of follow-up questionnaires. They were all missing. And we thought that they redacted them or they didn't include them, but actually they were missing in the RMP. So we contacted back the PL and the company, we instructed the company also to re-add them at the next warranted RMP submission. So that was non-compliance with the RMP template and not necessarily a reduction issue. And we also once, the 47, we contacted the MH, but we were wrong and they were right. So actually this one shouldn't count. It should be only 46 actually. Yeah, but we're all made mistakes. Next, please. Okay, so what other RMPs are published apart from the ones that you've had interaction with the RMP publication mailbox and me on the other side? The ones that we receive access to document requests and they are not already published on the EMA website. We're talking about old RMPs. And the SDP colleagues are retrieving the correct RMP, working with the company to redact it, and then sending it to the web editors. For you, it's important to know that you might get the request. If somebody has in the background some noise. Okay. So what's important for you to know is that you might get a request as you did before to point them in the right direction towards the latest approved RMP, and that doesn't change. It's not part of this process. Okay, next one, please. Okay, so this is the summary that we had last time when we presented this process. As I promised, the parts that were in blue will be deleted in this update. So we're now changing the process to make it easier. We're removing the manual check, the individual check, and we empower the PLs, PAs, and the procedure managers to go straight to the publication process without having to do a check. And as the transition way, we're gonna do a sampling check. So only if asked, by the RMP publication mailbox, we will check the RMP together with the PL, PA, and PM and the RMP publication mailbox. And the way it's going to go, I'm going to explain. We're going to run some SciMed business intelligence reports for the RMPs that are approved in that month. And I'm going to select randomly probably one initial, one post-marketing type 2 PSUR and other type, and one B. And other than that, everything remains the same. So instead of sending the RMP for checking and then waiting for the green light to publish it, it will be straight to the publishing. Next slide, please. For 1B variation, the process remains the same, which is that the company needs to submit the RMP, redacted RMP at the initial submission with the working documents. And again, only if asked for one RMP submitted to the 1B per month, the PM will have to interact with the RMP publication mailbox for the check. Next slide. Okay, so now in more detail, next. Again, the flow chart remains, which is if it's a 1B variation, then we were going to have the RMP submitted at initial submission. So therefore, the pro-office colleagues will be able to put aside the RMP, redacted RMP for publication straight at the start of the procedure. For all the other types of procedures, that means initial variations and so on, we will publish after the opinion. Next slide. Okay, so the new process we're hoping to start at 1st of May. You're all going to receive a very clear email saying when this switch to the new process will happen. We don't know yet because we're working with the data protection officer at EMA to make sure that the data protection notice is correctly published on the EMA website before we start doing this. Good news that we have the guidance ready. We have the data protection notice agreed, the draft. We're just waiting for the data protection officer to return from absence to officially sign it off. So you will get the confirmation of the date for the switch. Next, please. So this you've seen last time. It just makes you aware that the time of the pre-submission interactions, you need to make sure that the company is aware that we will publish the RMPs. I don't think there's going to be many companies that come for pre-submission interaction and will not know because this becomes quickly the norm. So I think it's less of an issue now. It was a beginning, it was a little bit more complicated, but there will be smaller companies that will not know what an RMP is at the beginning and we've been publishing it or not. But just so you know, we're going to publish all the RMPs, so that should be a clear message. Next, please. Okay, then part of the template, this has been done of the previous process update. We have added that sentence. We are now working with the revamp project for the SharePoint assessment report template also to include this sentence. So there's nothing for you to do. This is already included in the template. As long as you're using a generated template that's been generated in the past 3-4 months. And that's been excellent. So we have included more guidance in the EMA guidance, more recommendations and more detail on how they can do it, which is to use a redaction tool and before applying the redaction to save the file, copy of the file, and then to send that to us. because we have received various ways of the companies to show the reduction proposal. Sometimes as a track changes what version, including on top of the changes from one version to another. And it was a little bit complicated to check. Sometimes I had to rely on the approved RMP as compared with the redacted RMP to see what was under the black boxes. And then the declaration remains the same. And that's pretty much to motivate them a little bit to take this seriously. Next slide, please. Okay, so that's the sentence that's included in the letter to applicant. Next, we're going to go quickly through some of the slides. This is the declaration. The template remains the same. We haven't changed it. Next. And then post opinion, as I said, unless asked to provide an RMP, the process will be simple, which is you receive the RMP. Hopefully, they'll be named in a way that is very clear for you which one is with the reduction proposal and which one is the clean one. And you save the clean one in the EPAR folder and follow the checklist, and the web team will publish the RMP. Obviously, if you have any questions or unclarities, which file is which, I'm more than happy to check myself or to help you. Always send an email to the RMP publication mailbox and someone will help. Next, please. If you are asked to provide an RMP, actually it's a little bit even more simple than that, because I will run the SIMED business intelligence report and I'm going to try to find the RMPs myself. So if I'm at the CHMP opinion week, then probably the RMP is not there. So I can put myself a reminder for 14 days and try again in 14 days. If I don't find it, I will obviously send you an email letting you know that we're trying to publish this RMP for this product. And once we receive the RMP from the company, either the PLPA or send it to me, or I retrieve it myself. Important thing is that we're going to check one RMP per initial, maybe two if there's no post-marketing RMP updates. But and then for that one product alone, I'm going to inform you like we did before, if the RMP is ready after contacting the company if needed. And then the process is the same. You save it in the EPAR folder, follow the checklist, and the web team publishes. So worst case scenario, you don't see an email from me informing you that the product needs to be published. I can always catch up later. There's no problem. We can publish it later. We can follow up. So you can publish it and I can check it on the website, for example. It's not a problem. It's just for us to make sure that we get some sampling, especially I'm going to follow up some of the worst offenders in terms of marketing authorization holders, and then sometimes contact them directly to teach them a little bit what they need to do if they're a bit confused. Okay, next slide. Okay, this is nothing changed. This is the email that I was using to contact the MHs. Well, I wasn't using clearly a template, because sometimes I was just stating the issue. So it's someone will do this in the future activity, at least they have something to rely on. Next. Okay, so again, we had this question coming back from PAs and PLs. Do they need to include the EPAR link in the RMP summary? No, at the initial marketing authorization, you don't have to do that. So don't worry, the fact that it's highlighted in yellow or it says link to be inserted here, just ignore it. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And then if they want to update the RMP just to include a link, we should discourage them. Again, they can do the 1B after it, but we don't have to have a submission just for this link. Next, please. And then we have also included in the guidance a little bit some procedural aspects with regards to the when the companies can update the RMPs and before the opinion and after opinion and so on. So in the closing singles, we should have only one file, which is the RMP full clean with all the annexes, right? We don't want the redacted, we don't want the tract, we don't want the declaration. So they shouldn't, when we receive all these documents after the opinion via Hydralink, they shouldn't think that they now have to submit them in the closing sequence. Okay, that's not for me. Next, please. Okay. Again, we didn't have delays to the EPUB publication, not that I'm aware of, but you can tell me if you had any situation and you spare me of the details, not to hurt my feelings. But I think we had a very good process. My response time was usually up to 2 days. Sometimes when I was on holiday or on missions, it took a little bit longer. If something is urgent, you usually followed up to it. Now it's going to be even less problematic because you can publish the RMP and then we catch up with the one that we had to check or we thought we want to check. So I don't think it's a problem here. Fran has been very supportive on this one, so I don't think it's an issue anymore. Next, please. I mean, I can pause for feedback. I put there a reminder to myself. If anyone had a delay in publication of the EPUB due to the RMP, you can speak up now, or you can send me a private message after that one. No problem. I don't see any hands up. Okay. So again, no chasing. You asking for an RMP in an outcome letter. For 1B, the pro office sends at the time of the start one reminder to the company that they haven't submitted the RMP, but they are not stopping the procedure either, so that's fine. Now, again, if you want to highlight any non-compliance to the RMP publication mailbox, that will be helpful to at least to go back to the companies that are offending, just to train them a little bit and explain what we want to do in this process. Okay, next. Okay, public guidance. We haven't changed anything other than the guidance on the reduction. So the next slide, we're going to go very fast, Judith. Okay, so this is not changed. Next. The Q&A is not changed. Next. Post-marketing Q&A is not changed. Next. So from the MAH side, they're sending exactly the same thing as they do now. They'll be sending exactly the same thing. It's just that we're not going to check all the documents on this side. Okay, next. The win was modified to include the steps. Next, please. With say the RMP. I think we're gonna have to look a little bit with I haven't updated this because it might be argued in a way that it's still applicable. For example, the RMP contact point reviews and finalized is okay. It's true for some of the RMP, so I don't think it's the win is the kind of place to go into that kind of detail. But anyway. We're gonna have to raise it with the super process team just to see if we need to change something. Next, please. Okay, again, let's win, please. Next. And next. Okay, so again, this is now the process for the post-authorization RMP updates, and it starts with the type 2. Next, please. Type 2 variation and basically all procedure except the 1B variations, and the process is identical to the initial, so we're gonna go very fast with that. Next, please. Again, unless you are asked to provide an RMP, you're gonna go straight for the publication. Next. If you are asked to provide an RMP, again, I'm gonna try to search myself. For variations is going to be probably easier because they're shorter. Next. And then for the type 1B variations, if I'm not selecting one of these products, they're going to go checking if the RMP is present, and if not, do a one request and that's it. And then next, at the time of the, if you ask to provide an RMP, I'm gonna tell ahead of time at the start to the close to the start to the pro office colleague, procedure manager, and we have the entire length of the 1B variations to check. So that's even less of a problem in terms of retrieving it, because in theory it should be in the working documents of the ECDD sequence. So I can go myself in the common repository, extract the redacted RMP, check it, and the procedure manager will only get an email from me saying that the RMP is already good, so please continue the publication at the end of the procedure. So this is actually very simple process. Next. And then when the assessment report for the 1B is received, whether it goes for an RSI, we repeat the steps before. If it's approvable, just publish the RMP that has been received, the redacted RMP. Next. Okay, again, we're going to go very quick to the templates. It's the same sentence included in different templates. Next. Type 2, next. Reminders, next. First letter for a line extension, next. It's exactly the same, and all of them are have been already implemented. Next. And then these confidential logos, stamps, and so on, internal tracking documents from their own tracking system. We have included now that in guidance, so you don't have to tell off the companies if they do that. Hopefully they're going to comply. Next. And then I was mentioning that we're doing the data protection notice. We are working with the data protection officer, legal colleagues to ensure compliance with the privacy laws. And then, as I was saying, the anonymization of personal data is being updated, includes a initial procedural guidance, and then there has two types of content guidance. One is about the drafting of the RMP. So we're highlighting the messages that we wanted to give in the first place in the RMP template, but in a little bit more details. You've seen this before. It's been now a little bit updated and included this risk-based approach. And then what we didn't have in the previous version 1 of the guidance is the post-approval reduction of the RMP guidance. So it's basically not telling them to edit the RMP as they drafted, but what to do if they happen to have still personal data or commercial confidential information in the approval. I think they've seen now that this work that they're doing and us contacting them gives them extra work. So I think they're including now all this guidance in their internal drafting, RMP drafting guidance. So as I said, we're seeing less and less issues as we go along in time. And sometimes with some offenders, we went straight back to the QPPD, contacted them, explained them what we want to do, tell them what their frequent errors they were doing. And to be honest, the response was fantastic. So after the first submission, after that email, everything was sorted out and no problem whatsoever from the company. So I think this is a good approach if someone doesn't understand what they need to do. And that's why it's important, if you see something that doesn't look right, you can flag it to us and we can get a more strong approach. Next, I think that's medium and long-term plans. So this was from the previous slide. Initially, we wanted to do the pilot on 3 months. It took an extra 2 months to be ready. We have now in a risk-based approach sampling criteria to trigger check or a PM request for difficult procedure. So if you have a difficult procedure and you don't know what to do, or the company doesn't understand what to do, I'm more than happy to contact them directly or to respond to your queries. And then the long term, I think, well, it's not what I wanted to say here. I wanted to say that at one point we will switch for no check at all. So the sampling, those 3 per month will go to 0. So as soon as we keeping this sampling more of a support for you if you're having issues. So there's always someone on the other side, and also we need to see how it works without this very intense scrutiny and if we need to do some further guidance updates with the ATD colleagues. So we're working, I'm working with Fran on the revamp RMP part of the assessment report that will go through. I think we're now focusing on the initial, so those are already there. We're trying to reduce the number of templates, hopefully, and the number of reminders, because it will be the same document that they receive over and over. So hopefully the companies will get the message. Okay, next. And with many thanks to Maria for peer reviewing these slides and spotting some major errors that I've done in the first draft. So thanks a lot, and I'm happy to answer any questions, or if you want to share any experience you've had that you think others might be interested to find out. Let's keep it open. I think we've done it in 33 minutes, so 31 minutes. So we have a little bit of time, but also I don't want to drag this too long. So let's say 5 minutes if no one has anything to say, or 10 minutes if we get a proper discussion, and then you get your time, few minutes back. Okay, I shut up now. Anybody?
So could you show where it is published with the EPA on the website? Just if, I mean, is there already some published?
Yeah. I mean,
where would it be? Would it be as part of the EPA?
I think I had a screenshot, but maybe
if it's easy to show, it's just if we
sure, no worries. Julie, can you open in your browser the EMA public website?
Because eventually all initial will have one, right?
Absolutely, yes, that's the plan.
And then it will be updates as and when, with the 1B or 2 or whatever, whenever it's triggered, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I think I have to share again.
Okay.
This one.
Yeah, so if you put the Improvica, for example, I'm looking for something that I checked. Yeah, you can just put in the main search box on top.
Okay. Improving.
IMB, yeah. Yeah, that's the one, first one. We checked one of these. Let's see if it's was actually published. Okay, so yeah, second link, yeah, the one, the name. Yeah, click on it. So if you scroll, it has this summary and then medicine overview, and then immediately before it's...
Oh, there, fantastic.
Okay.
Yes, one.
Yeah, well, it's actually not the summary. You see, it's the full RMP. It's just the name from the web editors. So if you keep scrolling down, sorry, leave it there.
I'll leave it on that one.
Yeah. Just if you scroll down, you see there's 177 pages that have been checked.
It's a very old template, right? Or
No, actually, this is the revision 2 template.
oh, that's okay.
No, that's okay. And you can tell if it's a revision 2 template because you get at the beginning the product of
version 22
and
21.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
So if you go back to the EPAR, well, product page, I call it EPAR. I've been told off by the medical writers that that's not the right name for this. So it's the product page. This one.
Product page. Okay. No.
So what I understood the problem with the publication of the RMP is in the document management system, the CMS, I think it's called the content management system. There's no category for the RMP. So you cannot search just for RMPs. You can search just for RMP summaries because there's a tick box there. So I think sometimes they publish it as a summary because it's easier to...
Is that in Simon when they publish?
No, this relates only to the web publishing platform.
But there should be a category eventually.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Okay, yeah.
That's the plan. So
okay.
So I think sometimes you see summary, but it's actually the full PDF under it. And you can also see the size, because when it's like 2 megabytes, you know it's a big document. When it's like a few kilobytes, there'll be just 3 pages of the summary. So there's no versioning, so you don't see the previously published RMPs. We don't have that sometimes it's interesting because you want to see the PI that was published 3 years ago, but you can't see it unless you go to a specific variation. And these RMPs are also in DREAM under the EPAR folder, under the product folder, under the specific procedure where they've been approved. And if you don't know how to see all the RMPs that we have ever received for a product, there's a tab inside that is called RMP, and you get the entire history of the RMP submissions. So that also can show you which procedure had an RMP update. Okay, let me check again. Okay, so there's a question, I think, for Sonia. The typeface comes from the image, sometimes different than the Sonia, do you want to say what you mean? Did I say something about the typeface?
I don't know, nothing specific, but just because Hannah mentioned that it does look like an old template, but it comes from the MH. There is a template, but the MHs have their own typeface that they use, so they come in different formats, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's our template. Word template uses Verdana, which is the EMA current, but some of the companies are still using the Times New Roman. So
that was why I
it's a bit weird. Yeah.
Flashback.
Yeah, we don't have that in the guidance. We don't have a recommendation. Thanks, Sonia. That's very helpful. Anybody on the line wants to? Elsie, please.
Yeah, thank you, Emil, for sharing the presentation. Would it be possible to explain, if you talk about the data protection notice that is being signed off, what exactly do you mean with what is ongoing, and how will it affect later on the activities of publishing the risk management plan?
Yeah, so our when we consulted the legal colleagues, when we started in October the process, they said that, okay, now that you check all the RMPs, we can a little bit be reassured that we have a little bit of time to do the proper things that the legislation is requiring. And we explained to them that there's in theory no personal data that is being disclosed because we're redacting the company, we're relying on the companies to redact it. But there is a very small risk that accidental disclosure of personal data. So therefore, the data protection officer and the legal colleagues advise that we should do a proper data protection notice publication and a risk assessment. And I don't know if you know, if you go on the corporate EMA website and you search for data protection notice, you'll see 33 documents. The latest one being published is the one about the access system, security access system that is being used to check whether we're in the building or not. For reimbursement of the costs of traveling and now for the teleworking purposes. So because we publishing patients' data, they can be accidentally disclosed data that should be protected. And that's the data protection notice is explaining why are we publishing, what are we publishing, and why do we think it's a low risk. So we cannot switch to the new process of sampling checking until this data protection notice is published on our corporate website, informing both the MHs and the patients that they have the right to remove any data that is being accidentally disclosed and shows what are the measures that we put in place to reduce the risk. So this is a standard requirement of the privacy law. So that's why I cannot confirm yet that the switch will be on the 1st of May. Until we have that published on our external website, we cannot switch to the sampling type of check. Is that answering to your question?
Yes, thank you. And what if after all is in place and we switch to the new process, there would at some point within a published risk management plan be some identification of this personal data? What is then the actions to take?
Yeah, so we have an SOP in place for accidental disclosure of personal data, and that will kick in. We have had the scare where we have published the wrong document. one of the PLPA product team has sent to the web editor the wrong document. This has been immediately flagged by the MHs. I think a few hours later, we already removed it from the website, checked it, and because there was no personal data disclosed, we didn't trigger the full procedure, which would have been to inform the parties that were affected and so on and so on. So in this case, you're talking about if someone sends an email to the product lead, or I'm talking about the MH, or if someone sends via Ask Email, I was checking Google for my name and I found it in your document. I don't think it's right that my name as a patient should be in an RMP published by the EMA. Obviously, this is a case that we think that will never happen, but we cannot fully 100% exclude it. So in that case, as I said, the data protection notice explains who is the data controller, which in this case will be Alexis. There's a general mailbox for the data controller that is public in this data protection notice, where the person that thinks that something personal has been disclosed can request removal of the data, additional redaction, and so on and so on. So if someone flags to you that something is being disclosed accidentally, follow the accidental disclosure SOP. Obviously, inform us, inform the mailbox so we can check it to see if the first step is to assess if the data that has been accidentally disclosed contain any sensitive information. If there doesn't contain any sensitive information, that it's a very easy, everybody breathes relief and we move on just to make sure we publish the right document. But if we have disclosed something, the procedure itself is a little bit more complicated. But I'm not in charge of the accidental disclosure. It's just same as what we would publish in an EPA, PSUR assessment report, PSUR full, and so on and so on. Is that also addressing your question?
Yes, thank you.
Unfortunately, Fran is a little bit delayed with the post-prac debrief, because she would wanted to also join and to say to you that we have the support of the management for this. We have the understanding of the management. There's no one being blamed. As you see, an error happens in every single situation. Just know what you need to do in case an error occurs, and that's it. Again, the company submission has become better and better. We have now much better guidance that it will go out today or tomorrow, whenever the publication request is being fulfilled. And as I said, even with 140, we will never disclose anything at high risk. So, and that was without any prep and any promise here. I lost hope, so I already said the part that you wanted to say, but
That's fine. Go then.
We finished a little bit earlier. We went through the slides in 30 minutes, and now we're taking the questions. And the question was what to do in case of accidental disclosure is being flagged by someone from outside EMA on our website. And I said follow the procedure, follow the accidental disclosure process. And I also said that we have very much understanding from the management, and the official data controller is Alexis. The mailbox that goes for this kind of situation is the general mailbox, and no one single PL, PA, or PM will be in any way singled out for this.
Executed. Yeah, no, I mean, for me, I know that there's this sort of fear of making mistakes, but gosh, I made one the other day, and you just pointed it out, wrong name on wrong email, so it happens to everybody. So this is a risk-based approach. It means that there is a risk, and that's fine, but we accept the risk. That's part of the whole risk-based thing. There's a lot of paperwork when there's an accidental disclosure. That's the pain part of it, but zero blame. It's for me, it's expected with the system that there will be situations in which the thing goes wrong. But what we've done is try and find a way to mitigate it as much as possible and balance, workload versus how much really do you need to control these things. All the work that you've done, Emil, in the last few months has made it very clear that the risk is minimal. And so there's no point wasting people's time checking things that don't need to be checked.
Yeah.
So that's fully understood. Alexia is on board. You have my full backing on all of this. So nobody's going to be blamed or executed. There will be paperwork to do, and that's fine, but that's it. Then we move forward.
Yeah, and again, the process for all RMPs being published, except for the ones we are selecting as a sampling, doesn't involve any check whatsoever from the PL, PA, or the PM side. So you're not supposed to look inside the document to see if you're just supposed to identify which one is the redacted one that the company said. So that's normal part of communication. They send 3 files. You just need to understand which one you need to publish. So again, if you have any problems in the companies, because we discussed a lot with the web editors as well, and with the access to documents colleagues, how to name in our guidance, how to suggest them to name it, because everyone was putting name of the product RMP for publication, but all 3 files had for publication the declaration, the tracked one, and the clean one, because for publication meant for them inside the pharmacovigilance department, which are the 3 files that will be sent to EMA, So that's why we try now to standardize a little bit the name file, and that should make it much easier for you to identify. But you shouldn't have to open the RMP at all. But in doubt, open it. In doubt, still contact me, and we'll sort it out together. And as I said, just for you, Fran, I'm saying it again, we will tell off the companies that are offenders, and it worked really well. We contacted directly the QPPV, did a little bit of training. Everything was absolutely perfect from that company. I have not seen one single piece of information that needed interaction anymore after that email. So, okay. Anybody else on the line or in the room that wants to make a comment or ask a question? Again, as I said, I'm always behind that mailbox. So if you have any questions on the process, you just make sure you send it to us. Okay, 10 minutes, then take it back. Have a coffee or a break before your next meeting. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a nice evening. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay.